Yeah, I think we are live, right? Okay. And I have not shared my screen. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hi. Just give me a moment. I will just fire up the presentation. Okay. Hope my screen is visible to all. Great. Screen mode. Okay. I can see Sandro. Hey, hi, Sandro. Okay. People have joined. Great. So let's start today's session. I think we are 5 minutes into the session, right? So let's start. Okay. So today's session is going to be about how do you go about acing your MBA interviews, right? Now you have gotten calls from IIM Kozhikode stage 1 shortlist is out. IIM Calcutta calls are out. IIM Ahmedabad calls are out, and in the coming week you can expect more such calls, right? So irrespective of whether you are a 99 percentiler or above, or you're 95 percentiler or above, or a 90 percentile or above, right? This session is going to be quite insightful and important for all the aspirants who dream of getting into a B school this year, right? Um, Great, right? So today's topic is about how do you ace your MBA interviews, and I'll be deep diving into certain aspects of your preparation strategy, which can help you in landing your dream B school, right? Okay, so let's get started. Great. Let me just quickly look at if you have any comments. Okay, great. Perfect. So just a quick introduction about me, who I am, why I'm here in this YouTube live, right? So I'm just like you, right? Back in 2014, I was exactly like you, right? I graduated from a tier one engineering college, right? I worked for 3 years in Byju's, and that's where I got to know about how business is done, right? So I think that was the turning point for me. I realized that I have some gap in my skill sets, which I think I have to fill with an MBA degree, right? And we're talking about 2017, where EdTech, I think, was um, uh, just going up, right? So I think that back in that time, not a lot of options were available, right? So MBA was one of the best ways where we could actually bridge our skill set gap, right? Did my MBA from IIM Kozhikode, worked for 2 years in a sales and marketing role in a consumer electronics company. And back in 2021, I joined InsideIIM. So when I joined InsideIIM, I was responsible for scaling up the learning business, right? So we have a learning business called AllTuni, which we scaled for about 4 years. And right now we have taken a strategic pivot into making AI solutions for folks like you who are aspiring to get into a B school. And we also have our corporate clientele as well, right? So this is just a short introduction about me, right? And the reason I'm saying this is back in 2017, I was exactly in your shoes as you are right now, right? I had a lot of questions. I don't know how to go about my MBA prep in general, right? Starting from your CAT, then post CAT, uh, and what happens in a B school. I didn't know anything of it, right? So I think YouTube has kind of made or democratized the access to such information, right? So here is a quick um, 45-minute session insight on what is it that you can prepare for, right? How can you put your best foot forward in your WAT-PI and GD processes, right? Okay, so let's get started. So question one, right? What is the admissions panel looking for? I'm not talking about the interview panel. I'm talking about the admissions panel in general, right? At this point of time, you should realize that your CAT score, keep it aside. It has zero relevance now, right? CAT may you had gotten a good score, very good, right? That opens up doors, many doors for you, right? But right now the focus has to be on what's next, because that is the one which will shape your dream school journey, a dream B school journey, right? Nobody in your interview panel is going to ask you about your CAT, right? अगर आप if you have gotten a 99.9 percentile, ठीक है. You have good aptitude skills, you have good logical reasoning skills, but do you actually want an MBA charter on your resume? Are you fit for a particular B school? Will you add value as an alumni of this particular B school? Is what the admissions panel in general is looking for, right? So we'll get to the nuances of what is it that you have to prepare for, right now after your exams, right? So one thing, your story has to be very coherent, okay? And by coherence, I mean, don't say in your application forms or in your interviews that I want to do MBA because I have good logical reasoning or good quantitative skills. Trust me, you have 2.5 lakh people who write CAT. Roughly about 2,500, 3,000 of them are shortlisted for interviews, and the success rate post interview. So only one, if you see the data, you have a lot of RTA sources available. Only 1 in 4 people crack a top B school admit, right? So hence out of 2,500 people, there are only roughly around 500 seats. It differs from college to college, right? So essentially what the panel is looking for is, you are not a regular John Doe, right? And by John Doe, I mean, I hope you guys know this reference. It's a very generic reference to a person, right? You are not a regular John Doe, right? You don't have the same answers which 2,499 people have, right? Your story, your personality must be coherent and must be very interesting. It should stand out, right? You should not be a regular John Doe, right? So we have, I think, in a nutshell, I'll cover some aspects of how can you stand out in your interview. But definitely a 1 hour session will not suffice. We have a longer duration program called MBA Admissions Bootcamp, which we've been running for the past 5 years. We've trained more than 500 students, and we have a 94% success rate of getting the final admit in top in their own top 3 B schools, right? So more about that I'll discuss later. But how do you stand out is something I'll kind of touch upon, right? You are not a boring person, right? Don't say the same thing, sir. I have to do MBA because I have good logical reasoning skills. I have good quantitative ability skills. I have been working in so and so company, and I feel that I can hone my managerial skills. 2,499 people will write the same thing in their essays. All of them will have the same. They'll vomit the same thing in the interviews, right? The interview panel is not looking for that, right? Selection is basis how different you are and what is the value add you can do to the cohort and the institute, right? That's the third point here, right? And the fourth point is, if I place this candidate in front of recruiters, let's say in your summer internships, or let's say after your 2 years, right, when you have your final placements, right, will this particular person be a good value add to any company that comes to recruit, right? Does this guy have a good knowledge set? Does this guy have good skill sets? Is this profile good enough to be shortlisted by companies? Is what they will also check for, right? So roughly, in a nutshell, 4 points which the admissions panel will look for, right? Your essays, your SOPs, your application questions should not sound boring, right? These guys go through thousands and thousands of application every year, year after year, right? So everybody, and before AI, everybody used to do a manual reading, right? So all the answers are John Doe answers, right? Only 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 answers are where you stand out, right? Moving on. Yes, so I think I put a lot of words here: SOPs, applications, WATs, AWTs. The actual grind, if you think that your MBA prep, your CAT prep or your ZAT prep or your other competitive exams prep was a grind, the actual grind starts right now. You have to juggle a lot of things, right? You have to juggle your SOPs. All the MBA calls will happen in this season, right? So January is the month where you will get a lot of emails, right, in your inbox from multiple colleges, whether it's private or IIMs or tier 1, tier 2, whatever, right? So you have to fill up all these application forms. Each application form is different. Some people will ask an SOP. Some people will ask you 4 or 5 questions about your behavior, your situation, your personality. Once you fill up the application form, you have a process where you have to sit for GDs, you have to sit for WATs. WAT is written ability test, or AWT as it's called in IIM Ahmedabad, followed by GDs and or WATs, AWTs. You might have an extempore round like in FMS. Then the next round is essentially a interview round, right? Now in interviews, you have to prepare a lot. If you have WorkX, you have to kind of brush up on your WorkX. If you're a fresher, you have to brush up on your academic concepts. And then what are your goals? Because this is a common question across all interview forms and all interview panels. Why MBA and why this particular B school? They will kind of ask you in the interview about your hobbies, passions. They might grill you on current affairs. Now, current affairs can be technology related, it can be sports related, it can be, let's say, politics related, geopolitical news articles they will ask for. They might even ask for economics related news articles. And more than they judging you on the knowledge that you possess, they want to understand if you can form opinions, right? Now, if you say that, so if they ask you, do you follow geopolitical news? And if you say that, yes, sir, recently US took over Venezuela, right? That everybody knows, right? You don't need to come to a IIM interview saying that US took over Venezuela. What is your opinion about that, right? Was that the right move, and why was this done, right? You have to look at the history of Venezuela, right? How it became an oil economy, and what happened. What are the major turning points which led to the downfall of Venezuela, right? You have to form your own opinions around this, right? They want to see your opinions. They want to hear your opinions, right? And they want to see the structure in your answers, right? So already there is a lot of things right now. On top of that, you have to practice for bringing that structure in, right? So, so in a nutshell, the actual grind begins right now. But the good news is that this grind will get over in 2 months, right? Post March, you will rarely have some B schools have processes running till April. But post April, all of this will end, right? By end, I mean you will get habituated to it. There is no stop for this, because this is exactly the grind that you can expect in a B school, right? When you join a B school, you will have to juggle a lot of things, right? So this particular period is your orientation period for your B school journey, right? So hence, take this period very seriously. You will have a lot of things to figure out. Some of them I've mentioned on the slide, right? And we are there to help you, right? Okay. So as I said, we are there to help you. We have a MBA admissions bootcamp, which we've been running for the past 5 seasons, this is 6th season. We already have a lot of people enrolled in this particular program. Across the years, people have gotten admits from, you name the college in India, right? So you have all your Blackies, your MDIs, your Narsimunjis, your IITs, your XLs, your tier 2B schools like, let's say, TAPMI, right? So you have all of, so we have the resources to kind of help you in your journey. And this year, I myself am taking up most of this responsibility. So I will help you in your journey of cracking your dream B school, right? Based on your best B school call that you have, right? So what was the best time to start, right? This is a very common corporate lingo that everything had to be done yesterday, right? So the same analogy applies here as well. The best time to start was yesterday, right? And the next best time is right now, right? So whether inside IIM or not inside IIM, you have to, if you want to get into a dream B school, you have to go through this grind on your own, right? Right. Now I'll also tell you how is it that we will help you, right? To figure out what to learn, what to study, what to go through, what all to prepare for. We will help you through that, right? So let me focus on the interview aspect for this session, right? As I said, we have multiple aspects like GDs, applications, VATs, current affairs, domain prep. We'll be covering that in our WAT-PI program in detail, right? So the focus of this session, let me just bring it down to only the interview process, right? Because that itself is a very big component in most of your evaluations, right? Okay, so you, right? You as a person, not a regular John Doe, you are different, right? What all you should prepare for, right? You should know about current affairs, how it affects you, your society, as a nation, as a common entity in the world, right? So, what is the importance where you come from a particular place? What is the importance of the place, right? Does it have any famous people, right? And if you have any particular interest or hobbies, right, in particular field, let's say I play chess, so questions will be around chess. If you say that I play cricket, questions will be around cricket. If you say that I've represented the state or district badminton, they will ask questions about that. And they will not ask questions about your journey. They will ask you questions about how well you know this particular space, right? So let's say in cricket, if you say cricket is your hobbies or interest, they will ask you questions around, do you think Gambhir is the right coach for Team India? They may ask you about the ongoing WPL, Women's Premier League. Who do you think will win? Is the price justified for, let's say, a Rishabh Pant for IPL, right? They might ask you a broader question like, do you think IPL is a good platform for budding cricketers, right? So they want to know your opinions and the thought process, right? How do you structure your answers? That's the intent behind these questions. They're not looking to judge your general knowledge, right? वो जनरल नॉलेज का जमाना गया है अभी, right? अभी with AI there, I don't think fact checking is something which is the need of the hour right now. The need of the hour is how well do you utilize those facts to generate insights, right? Okay, then you have a whole plethora of HR related questions, right? Now by HR questions, we mean that tell me about yourself. Now I'll deconstruct a tell me about yourself answer, but you will have to prepare for, that's the first question, right? So tell me about yourself, why MBA, and you have a plethora of behavioral questions, right? Which also I will show you what kind of behavioral questions you will get and how to prepare for them, right? Then you have your technical questions. So if you have WorkX, right? So if you have WorkX, they'll ask you about your role. They'll ask you about your industry. So let's say you're working in a manufacturing space. They might ask you who's the world leader for this and why is India not the leader, Does India export or import? And they might go into specifics, right? So you should know everything about your role, your industry, and your domain, right? In detail, right? Then it is, if you're a fresher, they might ask you on academics, right? So they'll ask a random question. Abhi, let's say you're from mechanical engineering background. They may ask you some question around thermodynamics randomly, right? Or they may ask you, tell me one of your favorite subjects, and then they will ask you questions on that, right? So the interview can go anywhere, but the important point here is that you can drive the interview in your favor, right? So if you know the art of interviewing, right? If you know how to place hooks very well in your answers, I think you can drive the interview the way you want it, right? Which kind of is in line with your strength areas, right? Yes. So I was talking about um, these behavioral questions and what are the study materials that you can use to kind of track your PIs, your WATs, your GDs. Be well read, be well prepared. So I'll just kind of take you through. Okay, just okay. Let me stop sharing here. I have to share another screen. Just give me a moment. Yes, I have the screen ready. Okay, right. So this is essentially, if you see, sorry about that, right? So this is our MBA bootcamp season 6 study material that we give to all the people who enroll with us, right? The first step of this entire process, you have a lot of materials. I'll go through these materials in depth, but the first step, what we make sure that you fill up this candidate reflectionnaire questionnaire, right? This reflectionnaire is will be more than enough for you to understand what all you should prepare for, right? So there is this 7-page document outlining a list of questions that you will have to answer. These questions will more or less cover the aspect around your profile, right? So what we do is, once you have kind of noted or documented, once you have documented your once you have documented your answers, uh, sorry. So once you have documented your answers, I personally will sit with you and help you refine, position, and frame your answers better, right? So this is like a 3-4 hour exercise where you will have an idea about how do you frame your answers for an interview. How do you form a coherent story and coherent narrative in the interview, right? And in your application answers and your SOP. So this reflectionnaire, right, is the first step for you to be able to expedite your applications process. In application process, there'll be a lot of behavioral and HR questions. So if you have gone through this reflectionnaire, you'll have a very good idea about what to write, where, and you can expedite the process, right? This will help you to draft your SOP. You'll have some idea about what is it that I want to do in my life or why MBA. You can kind of document it in the form of an SOP. We will help you refine that as well, right? And more than that, this will definitely help you in your interviews, right? Because okay, so around 40 to 50% of the interview will revolve around you, your profile, right? So so hence the remaining 40-50% is varied across different aspects, right? So you should know yourself very well, right? So we start with this reflectionnaire, and then we have I'll also mention what other aspects of the program we have. We have already started live sessions. So there are 2 live sessions which have been conducted till now. You will get recordings of that. And today, actually, at 3 p.m., we have the next live session. So for people who are interested in enrolling, you can enroll. I think my team will be posting links on YouTube. right? So today we have a session on how do you write WATs and AWTs, right? Interview experiences, right? So we have detailed interview experiences of people previously from our cohort, and we have also collated interview experiences from the internet. A very important document is B School USP, right? So one question is definitely why MBA. Any interview panel will ask, any application form will ask, right? The follow-up question is why XYZ B School, right? So you should know about what to write in a B School USP, right? So I'm from IIM Kozhikode, right? So one of our USPs is basically we have the India's first business museum at our campus, right? So and the campus is really very good. You can check out online information about our campus, and you should also be able to talk about what kind of clubs, committees, groups that you can join. You can look at what are the professors that you can study from. So you'll have all the information condensed for the top B schools here. And in case you require any more assistance for any other B school, we are more than happy to do. We have all the resources to do that, right? Then comes a prep kit by B schools. So typically, some of these B schools release their own prep kits. We have made them available to you. These are done by clubs and committees of these B schools. This is basically about your subject matter expertise. So let's say you say that I'm from a commerce background, or let's say I like math and statistics. They will ask you questions about that. So this lists down some of the questions that you need to know, right, in these subjects, right? Then you have your post MBA domain, very important. I mean, so you need to mention how MBA is a bridge to your goals, right? So and your goals have to be very well defined. It cannot be that I will look at getting a marketing job. No, it should be very well defined. That in the sense that 2 years I see myself doing marketing activations, increasing, growing our community in an FMCG setup or in a B2B SaaS setup, right? And then later on in my long term goal is to become a marketing thought leader, right? I want to help smaller brands, D2C brands, leverage the best in class marketing expertise which I have gained over the years to become better brands, right? So these are kind of answers which you should give with more clarity and thought, right? So this will help you understand what is happening in this domain, what you should know, right? So in finance, for example, what all concepts you should know, right? So let's say you want to do an MBA finance, right? So you should know investment banker करता क्या है. You should know corporate finance में होता क्या है, right? You should know banking में होता क्या है. What are the roles that banks hire from campuses, and what does that role entail, right? So all these primers are given here for mostly all the domains are covered here, right? So domain knowledge, you should have some domain knowledge. Not, I mean, that's why you're going to do an MBA, right? You don't, if you know everything, why are you coming for an MBA, right? This is our UG concepts. So we have kind of created an academic primer for different streams, whether you're from a commerce or from engineering. Even in engineering, we have divided into mechanical, civil, electronics, and so on, right? Then we have VAT and AWT materials in case you want to uh, look at VATs, last 5 years VATs, and how to write VATs. You have it here. Any which ways, we'll have sessions on that. Today we have a session again. Current affairs, right? Now these current affairs are more of opinions. So you have static GK and you have opinions, right? So we have listed down some sources where which you can refer to form opinions, right? So for example, why is repo rate unchanged at X percentage, right? Do you think the current inflation rate is good for the economy, right? So these are economic related questions, and you can expect geopolitical, you can expect tech questions right now, given that it's a AI is disrupting a lot of domains. You can expect questions on AI, right? Then you have as I mentioned, then you have your candidate reflectionnaire, and apart from this, you will have access to 5 mock interviews, which will be taken by different mentors like me. To just to show you, so you started with the live sessions, as I said. Uh, 500 plus people have already joined in the past uh, 5 seasons. We have 475 plus conversions. What you get is essentially detailed here, right? You get 5 mock live interviews um, with me. You'll have 2 one-on-one mentorship sessions. So one session is your reflectionnaire, which I will help you really refine and phrase your answers better. You'll have 10 WATs where we will evaluate and give feedback on those WATs. You'll have 10 live sessions, just as I showed you, right? So we have had 2 live sessions, one on SOP, one on your preparation strategy, the one which we're having right now. And we also have sessions on AWT, WATs. We have domain specific sessions like in marketing, what you should know, in consulting, what you should know, how you should tackle or approach case studies and guesstimate related questions. All that will be covered. So we have 10 sessions around that. Whenever any SOP comes, FMS results will come, or let's say IIM Bangalore has already come, right? So you will have your so IIM Bangalore has not yet come. IIM Ahmedabad and Calcutta have come. So you'll have your SOP assistance. You'll have access to study material, just as I showed you. That was the folder which you'll have access to. This I will come upon later. And I think once you are done with your interviews for the season, right? We have an AI for business course, which we sell for our learning vertical or tuning, but that will be given to you. The reason being that you have a window between your process and the results coming and the offer letters being issued to you, right? So in this period, how you can best utilize this period is to upskill yourself, right? So how do you use AI for business? And very importantly, non-finance folks will find it a very big challenge to understand finance, understand balance sheets, understand profit and loss statements. So this period can be a very good a preparation period and orientation period for your MBA. So we have questions, we have courses for you around that, right? So I think link will be there in the YouTube chats. Please, if you're interested, please look at joining one of these programs, because you can prepare on your own, right? But having a repository of what you should prepare, how you should prepare, considering that there is a lot of things that you have to juggle right now, it is better to go for a structured course, right? So this is the learning which I have personally from my own experience, where I was just like in your shoes. I had gotten a 99.5 plus percentile in my CAT, and I was like, I have 99.5 plus, so I'll definitely crack a B school. So why should I take one of these courses, right? I didn't know the importance of these courses back then, 2017. I tanked my IIM Lucknow interview. My best B school call was IIM Bangalore. Though I had written good SOPs, I've gotten it reviewed from good professionals, mentors, but I could not have a structured approach back then to write my WATs or to have structured my answers better in interview. So I lost my IIMB admit because of that, right? And then IIM Kozhikode happened, but life happened, and I'm very happy that I graduated from IIM Kozhikode as well. But I'm saying that a structured approach definitely makes a difference, right? So please, if you have a good score and you're expecting calls in the coming couple of weeks, I would definitely urge you to consider one of these MBA boot camps, right? Okay, great. Now let us go to the next order of business. Let me go back to my own presentation. Great. So we've talked about study materials. We've talked about what is it that you get as part of the MBA admissions bootcamp season 6 with Inside IIM. Yes. Now let's kind of circle back to the interview process involved, right? So as I mentioned, your story must be coherent, right? Across your applications, SOPs, and your interviews, right? Your goals, your hobbies, your achievements, your why you did a particular course, why you did a particular certification, why engineering, why MBA, everything has to form a coherent narrative, right? This is one of the main things that interviewers are looking for. The faculty at these schools are looking for. Is he genuine? Is he authentic? Right? One place you will say that, hey, I want to get into consulting because XYZ, right? Then the interview will go in some other direction. And then again, you will say, nice, sir, I want to do finance. You have lost the game there. Because then it's like you don't know what you want to do in life, right? So hence, coherence of answers must be there, right? I was just recently reviewing one of the students who have enrolled, right? Uh, and it came out that he invests in markets, right? So if you invest in market, the typical mentality is that you are more subject to taking risks, right? You will take risks, right? And that's how market operates, right? But in personal life, you don't embody that same personality, then it becomes a non-coherent thing, right? So all this framing, right? All these reading between the lines, how will faculties read between the lines? How will your admissions panel read between the lines? Um, how will they check for genuinity is something we cover extensively in the reflectionnaire when you have a discussion with me, right? Okay, so essentially you have to be 2 steps ahead, right? So you have to frame your answer in a way that you have sufficient hooks in your answer where the interviewer is forced to ask questions on that, right? So interviewer, let's say, uh, I am Vignesh. I come from a city in South India known for sterlite manufacturing. My hobbies are playing cricket, um, reading books, listening to music, right? I have worked at Byju's. I have achieved some XYZ percentage, some efficiency output I have driven. So essentially the hooks here are, अच्छा you mentioned Sterlite. तो कौन सा शहर है भाई ये? बताओ अभी, right? What is so special about this plant, right? Then you also mentioned reading books. You also mentioned cricket. They will ask you questions on books or cricket, right? Then you mentioned that I have done so and so in my previous stint, right? So they'll ask you questions on that. So that's how you drive the interview. So you place hooks in your answer where the interviewer is forced to ask questions on that, right? Because trust me, all that the interviewer has in front of him is not your resume, is the application form that you fill, right? They may have access to your WATs and AWTs. Some panels ask questions on why did you write this? Why did you? What's your opinion on this? On that, but they will only have access to your application form, right? In application form, typically majority focus is on your profile, right? What's your academic score? Where are you from? What's your phone number? Email? Which city are you currently in? Talk. What is your work ex? Mention. Describe your work ex. And then you have your application related questions, which is tell me your biggest achievement, tell me your strength and weakness, why MBA, all that. Most of these, some of these application form will not even have that, right? So all that you have is कि I have 10th में इतना marks, 12th में इतना marks, graduation में इतना marks. I've graduated from XYZ college. I'm working currently here. That is the only and only information they have about you, right? So hence these application questions are actually there to prompt the interviewer what to ask you in the interview. So that's where the application strategy comes. What all you should include in your application questions, right? And you should always stay 2 steps ahead here, right? Because you have to drive the interview in your favor, right? So everything that you say must be a coherent story, coherent narrative, and you should drive the interview in your favor. Yes. Now let's come to deconstructing. Tell me about yourself, right? So I mentioned that there are a lot of questions. We can't keep deconstructing everything in this particular session, but let us take tell me about yourself. इसपे how do you answer this question, and how do you place sufficient hooks so that the follow-up questions are based on your hooks that you have placed, right? The first part of your introduction must typically be about your hometown and schooling, right? In case you have any good achievements during your school, right? Please don't say Olympiad में state level में ये था. Trust me, all the 2,500 people who are sitting for the interviews will have an Olympiad in their resume. In case you have a very good international rank, right? Or you have a very good national rank, or you are a, let's say, your extracurriculars is coming here, but you have a very good achievement. Let's say you are a state topper, right? Or a district topper, right? All that are very good achievements in school, right? See, the importance of an achievement reduces with time, right? Now, let's say you have 3 years of work ex, 2 years of work ex. Typically, that's the average work ex, right? Before an MBA. So 2 years of work ex. Before that, you have studied 3 to 4 years of graduation, and before that, you have studied in school. So it is typically 2 plus 4, 6 plus 2. So 6 to 8 years back, you have achieved something. It doesn't mean that you would be the same person right now, right? So the impact of your school achievements is lesser as compared to the impact that you have generated right now in your work, or if you're a fresher in your current your degree, what you're pursuing, right? So hence these impacts must be really top class. It cannot be an Olympiad. मैं state rank था Olympiad में, right? Because already the importance of a school achievement is less, and in that the quality of that is very less, right? So it will degrade your profile, right? Now, if you say that I'm X from X, right? So I said I'm Vignesh from, I come from a city where a sterilite plant is there, right? So then that's a hook there you're placing, right? So then the questions will revolve around your hometown. Why is the sterilite plant there? I heard that there were a lot of opposition and protests for that, right? So the interview will revolve around that. So you should carefully kind of tackle this, right? But if you come from a hometown where you cannot find sufficient information, don't mention it. It's not necessary, right? You have other things to mention, right? But if you have a hometown, if you're coming from a hometown where, let's say, a famous personality has come from, right? Or let's say you say that I am Vignesh coming from Hyderabad, where Satya Nadella grew up, right? That's a hook you're placing there, right? The next question will typically be on Satya Nadella or Microsoft, right? Great. So went on to pursue X from Y, all that. Then your graduation, right? Your graduation may, if you're a fresher, obviously you'll have only academics and extracurriculars. If you're having work X, I would suggest that a sufficiently level of emphasis on this. If you are very confident about your academics or your extracurricular activities, then emphasize on this. But I have seen people overly being anchored to UG, even if they have 2 years of work ex. Even in my current batch, I have folks like that, right? So see, if you have work ex, the importance, as I said, right, is lesser for your graduation, because this is something you have done 2 years back, right? So hence, you overly emphasizing about your school achievements when you have work ex doesn't put you in a driver's seat, right? Because it shows that you were an achiever 2 years back, now you don't have anything to talk about, right? So you are basically on a down path in your learning curve in your career, right? So I will not hire you, I will not admit you, right? So hence your UG aspect, if you are having work ex, must be lesser, right? But if you're a fresher, then you have only this. So you should definitely harp about all these, all the things that you've studied in your academics and extracurricular activities, right? Then comes your work X, right? Now, work X, again, as I said, you have to be well read about your role, your domain, and your industry, right? See, never, I have seen a lot of people, not only from who are MBA aspirants, but even um, while guiding, I mean, 1,000+ students in alt uni, I have I have seen resumes where the emphasis is not on the impact or the outcome. The emphasis is on the process, right? That is not how the business world works, right? If you are doing something that has to have an impact or an outcome, right? I have seen a lot of resumes working as an assistant manager in Gale, working as a assistant manager in JSW, working as a social media analyst in XYZ. ठीक है भाई, क्या किया तुमने वहां पे? What have you done there? Right? Working as a social media analyst, where I was responsible for driving X percentage growth in the social media channels or X percentage growth in community interactions. That shows that acha, this guy is working and he also delivered impact in his role. Right? So all your answers must be impact oriented. Right? Process orientation nahi chahiye logon ko. Okay. The next thing is, what do you do? Right? I mean, okay, all this is about your career. Apart from your career, what defines you, right? So this can be what you aspire to do and what are your current passion and interests, right? So passion and interest may typically you'll have questions. If you mention that, tell me about yourself, right? So you can say traveling, you can say reading books, you can say watching sports, following markets, investing in markets, all that. Many a time I find people writing things like I watch movies and TV shows. Right. I mean, 1.2 billion people in India. Okay, everybody now internet penetration is increasing, right? Netflix में इतने सारे titles आ रहे हैं, Amazon Prime में इतने सारे titles आ रहे हैं, इंटरनेट सबके पास है, सब लोग मूवी एंड टीवी देखते हैं इंटरनेट में. So you are just a John Doe there, right? Now, if you like watching movies and TV shows, can you derive insights which can actually add value to the cohort, right? It can also be that in depth the process or the unit economics of a TV or a movie, or a TV show or a movie, right? What are typically the gross margins, right? What happens in the world of shooting or making a movie, right? If you're interested in the business side of those, that is very good, right? And that is something which will act as a hook and say that, acha, let me ask him more on this, right? So if you only say movies and TV shows, it's a no. Everybody does that in their free time, right? But if you can analyze a movie, if you can analyze, if you are a movie critic, if you are a reviewer, if you have an understanding of how cinematography works, if you have understanding of how production works, how production houses function, what do these guys do, how does distribution happens, what are the margins that PVR Inox gets, and what are the margins that the producers get, you should get into the details of it. Then that makes you different. 1.2 people watching movies and TVs versus a few thousands or lakhs having knowledge about this. You should be in the few thousands and lakhs, right? So don't give generic answers. Don't be a regular John Doe is what this means, right? And a brief conclusion about how these experiences, your hometown and schooling, your UG, your work ex, your passion and interest, how they shape you as a person. You can also go into a philosophical bent here. I believe that all these experiences have helped me become a better person, something like that, right? So this is how you will deconstruct. This is how you will actually write your or tell your story, because this is the first question you will have in any interview. irrespective of the interview, this is the first question that you will have. Right? So you have a very good time to make an impression. Okay, let me quickly check the chats if there are any. There are. Okay, there is just these links. There are no chats. Okay, great. Okay, so now let me stop my screen and let me share. Sorry, right? Now, as I said that we have pivoted to building AI solutions that help MBA aspirants like you, and we also build AI solutions for universities and our corporate clientele, right? So what we have done is we have been in the space for about 10 years. So inside IIM, I mean, most of you who are attending this webinar live will already know about inside IIM. So we've been in the space for about 10 years. We are one of India's largest MBA community, right? And we have data, anonymized data of a lot of folks, right? And what we have done is how do we utilize this data to help aspirants like you, right? Now, because we have access to all this data information, we've kind of put it, we have trained an AI to kind of give you the best possible guidance and guide you in the right direction so that you can go from, let's say, a CAT prep to a final admit, right? So please try out this tool in case you haven't already. It is called IANA. It's an MBA counselor. It is trained on 1 lakh plus real MBA stories, right? So we have a WAT-PI bootcamp. You have all these modules here. You can kind of go through this. So IANA recommends module is one of very interesting module where, let's say, okay, right? So you have multiple exams. You write CAT, ZAT, SNAP, CMAT, NMAT, GMAT, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, everything, right? So we have all the data, right? We combine all the data, right? And we will recommend you colleges based on your best scores, right? So let's say आपने CAT में 80 percentile लेके आए because your day was not good, right? But ZAT में you have a 99 percentile, right? What are the colleges that you can apply from ZAT? Snap recently announced its results yesterday, right? So what are the colleges that you can apply through Snap, right? So let's say I enter very good score here, right? So 99.9 I got. Okay. Let me enter just full here. Okay. Now I've saved my Snap scores. Now I'll continue to academics. So I have all these exams there, right? I have already uploaded my profile here, right? So my 10th is this one, 12th, UG, I'm a general candidate, male. I'll continue. It will analyze my profile, right? And it will actually give me the 3 categories of B school recommendations for me, right? Which I'll show you right now. And also tell you how is this recommendation engine working, right? It is not only working on the percentiles, right? It is actually working on the profiles of students who are in these colleges who have some sort of resemblance to your profile and your scores. So it is not just your percentiles which will give you recommendation. It's also the profiles of students who are there in such B schools which match your current profile, right? So for example, as I said, I got 99 percentile in ZAT. So that's my best fit B school, right? And this match score is essentially that my profile matches the level of match of my profile with the people or the students who have either studying or have graduated from XLRI, right? So while percentile gives you an will open the door for a B school, but do similar category of people, similar strata of people having similar profiles are there or not? That is the match score, right? SPJIMR, so SPJIMR is our InsideIIM partner as well. So in case, so 94% match is there with your profile. This accepts CAT, GMAT, and ZAT, but I think your recommendation based on your ZAT score. You have XLRI HRM course. You have, because you got 99.9 percentile in snap, right? So you can get into SIBM Pune, right? And you have safe schools. So you have three categories of school. One is your dream B schools, your best fit B schools, and your safe schools, right? So safe schools is like chances very very high, right? कि आप यहाँ पे definitely crack कर लोगे, ठीक है? Okay, so this is very interesting module I wanted to show, but more than that, what I wanted you to do is, or you can use these resources. You have a mock interview, which we have kind of trained an AI on. You can start your interview journey here, right? So we evaluate you just like any recruiter, or more importantly, any panel interview panel will evaluate you on, right? The competencies are more or less the same. I mean, if I'm a faculty, I'll be looking for learning agility, but probably the terms that I give to the competencies will be different. The terminology nomenclature will be different, but more or less the competencies are more or less the same, right? So we evaluate you on 5 competencies, right? So this is a 20-minute interview that you can give. It's an AI interview. We have trained it to act just like an interviewer will actually be in an MBA interview. So I'm just beginning the interview. Okay, so I have to select a B school here. The reason the B school is here is that because why MBA is definitely a question, and why XYZ B school. So that is the reason we are asking you this. So let's say I'm Bangalore में देता हूँ, ठीक है? I will start the interview. Okay, hey Ayana, hi. Good afternoon. How are you? Sure, Ayana. I'm Vignesh. I have 2 years of work experience in a media agency. I have led large scale projects. I come from a town in South India known for its sterilite plant. I like to read books and watch cricket. Right. So if you see here, it is actually asking you follow-up questions on your previous response, right? Now, definitely this will be transcribed here, but nonetheless, let me give the answer for this question. So I have led development of an AI platform which can actually help creators churn out creatives and media assets fast. This has increased the throughput of our creative folks, typically the media producers, from let's say 20% to about 60% because of this tool. Yes, so this interview will go according to what I answer, and also we've trained it to ask specific questions as well, right? So this is a very good start for your prep journey in case you haven't already, right? So yeah, I mean, this report generation takes a lot of time because AI models are still, it's definitely faster than before, but still have a lot of computing to do, right? So yeah, here is your score, right? So you have a very good profile, but interview, I just ended it quickly, and obviously the idea was to show you how it works. So interview score is very bad. So you have your interview feedback, right? And you have 5 competencies which we have evaluated you on, right? So one is intent, which is, are you aware about your profile, your role, the things around you? Do you have the right motivation and the career clarity and purpose for an MBA, right? Aptitude, do you have cognitive abilities? Can you structureize your answers? Do you have the urge and inclination to learn in case you don't know anything, right? And can you, as I said, analytical thinking is structurizing your answers, right? Impact, right? Have you shown impact in your previous in your previous roles, right? Whether you're a fresher or you are an experienced guy, right? Do you have a bias for action, right? So if things go north, if things go south, do you have resilience to and the grit to kind of pass through this entire phase? Do you have an execution mindset? Do you have an outcome orientation? All this we'll judge, right? Influence is more about your body language, your people skills, your communication skills, your leadership potential, right? Can this guy become a very good leader, right? Is something we evaluate here. And the last aspect is genuinity, right? Is your story coherent? Were there any discrepancies? Do you have some value systems that you live by, and was that kind of carried inherent in the interview? All this comes, right? And there's also a very interesting profile evaluation session. Uh, so for starting this interview, you'll have to kind of upload your profile. But I've already uploaded my profile here, so hence it didn't ask me. But you have to upload your profile. So it's also done a profile summary of mine, right? My academic pedigree, my work experience, my test readiness, my holistic profile, strengths, areas to develop, right? And there's a combined score, right? So in case you haven't started, I would suggest you to start with your WAT-PI prep, WAT-PI GD prep right away. As I said, you should have started this yesterday. There's a lot to cover, uh, and the time frame is very, very less, right? And this is a very good time to do your MBA because the world is kind of going through a transitioning phase right now, right? So people in the AI space or people in your IT companies again aren't clear what shape or what way AI will take in the coming months, right? So there have been reports. I think there's a very good report of AI 2027, which everybody should read, saying that every month what will happen in the world of AI till 2027, right? Now that report predicted something, but the outcomes were something different, right? So there's a lot of turbulence right now in the way the world is functioning or will function. So this is a very good moment to kind of upskill yourself, right? And possess the necessary skill sets that once, let's say, people have some clarity, right? Now, clarity in the form of what projects I should undertake, how much I should, what should be my hiring numbers for this season? Do I have sufficient work? What will I kind of extract from these folks who will come and join me as a this I'm talking as a recruiter, right? So all this will evolve over time, right? So right now is a very good moment to upskill yourself and be ready with the skill set so that you can face the the world which will be in the next 1 or 2 years, right? With more confidence, right? So this is our small initiative which we have taken as part of Inside IIM to help you ace your interview journey, right? And do give feedback on the tool. Happy to look at it. I'm looking at the tool from a product perspective myself, so that will definitely help me make the tool much better, right? Okay, great. Now where were we? We are already at 110, and I think I am done. Do we have a next slide? Yes. So next slide is questions. Um, so let me see questions that have been asked. We also floated a form where some of you had posted some queries. On the chat, I'm seeing that Okay, so Ayana is here. Okay, I'm only seeing links here, so there's no question on the chat. But I have the questions uh, from the form that we had floated earlier. So one of the questions is, again, tell me about yourself. How do I frame that? I think we've just answered that. We have deconstructed how to kind of tell about yourself. And how do I write an SOP, sir? I'm expecting an IIM Bangalore call. Okay, so um, yeah, as I said, coherence is something which is judged across the admission panel, whether it's an admissions committee which will evaluate or the interviewing panel which will evaluate you. So coherence is tested. So your SOP must follow a structure, right? Now the structure which we will we yesterday only I had a session in SOP, right? So we have defined a structure about how do you go about writing an SOP, right? Typically, people think that MBA is a means to an end, right? I have gotten 99 percentile. Now I have to do an MBA, right? But they don't know what after MBA, right? So MBA cannot be your end. MBA can be a path or a milestone necessary to achieve your goal, right? So from point A to point B cannot be your MBA. Point B cannot be an I'm Bangalore, I'm Ahmedabad. Point B has to be I want to become a AI evangelist. I want to become, let's say, a marketing voice, top marketing voice of the world, right? Now, I am this. I am coming from XYZ hometown. I have graduated here, right? These experiences have led me to realize my strengths, which are A, B, C, X, Y, Z. My work, you can talk about your work X here, right? And then you identify a gap. ये गैप है सर मेरे प्रोफाइल में जहां पे एमबीए बैठता है where MBA fits in perfectly, right? To achieve my goal of becoming ABC XYZ, right? So that is how coherent your SOP should be, right? Great SOPs are ones where you don't need to mention your strengths. It comes out as a theme or a message, subliminal message in your resume, right? So you don't need to mention that I have good grit and resilience. You can showcase that you have good grit and resilience, and that comes out as a strength in your SOP, right? So these aspects of hooks, these aspects of theme related SOPs, and how do you make a kick-ass SOP, we cover it in detail in our MBA admissions bootcamp program. Sir, what kind of questions can I expect in Ahmedabad interview? Okay. So, okay. So, yeah, see, it depends on the panel typically. But they generally check for your structured ability to solve problems. So hence, guesstimates, case studies is something you can definitely expect. But again, there have been cases where this has not been asked as well. But you can expect that, and right, and there are ways to solve cases, how to approach cases, whether it's a quantitative case or whether it's an abstract case, right? It can be abstract case as well. Let's say quantity or quality. How do we choose? Right? It's an abstract case, right? Or it can be that my website traffic is down by 20%. What do I do, right? Or my plant is operating at a 20% lower capacity. What do I do, right? Or there were a 20% drop in profits last year. What went wrong, right? So uh, these are quantitative or logical cases where you apply a structured framework to answering these questions, right? So in the program, we will definitely help you. We will help you get acquainted with the structured approach of answering questions. So there are different structures. We will kind of walk you through that, right? Okay, when is the results? Anurag has asked, sorry, the chat question. I'm getting on 30.5 project score based on the key. I am not sure if that's the right topic of discussion. I have 12. Could you share your insight? Okay. So I would say, yeah, upload your score in Ayana, Anurag. Upload your score in Ayana. You'll get a list of recommendations for different colleges accepting that score. And happy to connect with you to understand what's the best course of action you can take in your career. But definitely with a 30 score, you can expect a good percentile. You can expect some good calls as well, right? Probably not XLRIs, but definitely better colleges in India you can expect, right? Uh, so please upload your results in Ayana and get the recommendations. We are happy to help you out. And irrespective of, I mean, you will definitely get some calls, but irrespective of the college, the process remains the same. Everybody follows an interview process. Everybody follows a GD plus VAT process or a GD slash VAT process, right? So the preparation is the same, Anurag and others as well. So, um, okay. I think rest of the questions are on. I think we have covered it in detail. One is tell me about yourself. Again, a question has come. Another question is around why MBA. Okay, why MBA, right? So, why MBA is a good question and definitely it will be asked in all the interviews. So, why MBA is again the same structure as SOP. You excel at something, you have identified certain skill sets, you want to achieve somewhere, right? So you are at point A, you want to go to point B, right? Now you realize that from point A to point B there is some gap which you believe that an MBA can solve for that, right? And why MBA can solve for that? Because it is having a structured approach, right? You get to work on case studies, right? You get to interact with your peers, right? So typically classes in MBA in MBA courses are case based, right? So you'll have an Harvard case or an Ivy case in front of you. You'll have to read it through before you come to the class, and then you will have discussions on the topic. There's no right or wrong answer, right? Per se, you'll have discussion in the classroom, and the faculty there will kind of guide you to analyzing a case, right? So this is typically the process followed in most of the B schools. So this enriches your learning experience because you're learning from a diverse cohort there, right? People are coming from engineering background, people are coming from commerce backgrounds. There are people coming from different walks of life entirely, right? So, so hence these will enrich your learning experiences. And finally क्या होता है कि आप MBA एक peer network, एक networking के लिए करते हो. You will not realize the value of this. You may have realized, some of you mostly will not realize the value of this. Um, it's the seed that you plant right now, which will develop into a fruit later on, right? So any career related challenges that you face later on in your career, your peer network, your alum network will definitely help you out, right? So hence, that network, getting access to that network is really very difficult, right? But an MBA fast tracks that, right? Also fast tracks you into multiple roles, right? So see, these are answers that I'm saying, which I have seen generally people answer, right? It should be very genuine and very particular to your case. You have to contextualize this answer to your case, right? So just because I'm saying that peer network है, just because I'm saying that case based है, doesn't mean that वो आपके लिए useful रहेगा. आपके जो experiences हैं, the experiences which shape you, and to the point where you want to go, how is MBA the bridge for that? Is something you have to answer in why MBA, right? And subsequently why this particular B school, that I think we'll cover later. Um, okay, I think covered. I think most of the other questions are very similar in nature. Yeah, I think we've covered most of the questions posted by you guys. Um, so key takeaways is one, you have to start preparing by yesterday. If you haven't done that, please start right away. A score of 30 is really good, Anurag. You can definitely expect some calls, but you have to be prepared to tackle the interviews, right? So hence, start your preparation journey. As I said, InsideIIM has tools and resources to help you with that. We have our MBA bootcamp program which we run. We also have an AI-based tool which can help you with a lot of things in your preparation journey, right? So do check out the program and do try out IANA, right? So let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, great. I hope this session was helpful to you. Obviously, in a 1 hour session, your entire preparation journey cannot be covered. But I've actually given you some hints on how you can prepare. In case you want to do with us, please sign up for our program. The links are there on the YouTube comment and do try out IANA, right? Wishing everybody who's watching this video all the best in your preparation journey. Hope you crack your dream B school. And do inform us in case you have cracked and we have helped you. We'll be more than happy. It will make our day. We all can sleep peacefully, right? For an hour or so more, right? Okay, on that note, let's end the session here. Thanks, Deepak, for hosting the session and coordinating the session. And all the best to you guys. Cheers. Bye.